You're listening to the Tumbling Saber Podcast, a member of the Star Wars Commonwealth Podcast Network. Check us out on the web at starwarscommonwealth.com, on iTunes, Facebook, and Twitter, and take your first step into a larger world. Hey everybody, welcome to episode 72 of the Tumbling Saber Podcast. My name's Kyle.
I'm sick.
And I'm James.
Hey everybody, welcome back. It's nice to have you with us once again, dealing with the fallout from Star Wars Celebration. I'm kind of fed up with talking about Celebration, but we just can't help it. There's more to talk about, so we'll get to that. We'll talk about a whole bunch of other things. Anyway, I guess we'll start with our customary weekly catch up with the guys. So James, we'll give Corey a break because he's not doing so well over there, it seems. So we'll ask how you doing instead.
Less complaints than Corey. You know what? Things are good. I busy weekend like everybody else, I'm sure. So Monday's a blessing in disguise. I get to send my kids off to daycare. But no. We had a good weekend. We had finally a nice day of weather today, so that always brightens everybody's mood, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's part of the problem. I was outside today too, just like starting to get some soil ready for the garden, man. So I'm pretty sore right now. I
was outside pulling brambles all day, man. I got blackberry and raspberries taking over a whole bunch of different areas of the yard, so I'm sore.
Yeah,
it's funny because I was out there too today as well, just digging up some more space for the garden, tilling the soil, pulling weeds, just getting everything ready. It's almost like we planned this. Anyway, nobody wants to hear about us talk about weather. So, anything else special happened to you guys this weekend?
Yeah, I went to that. Actually, you and I, we went over to a pretty awesome convention in the town. Well, in the province over from us, but it's actually not that far from our place, and not a Comic-Con or anything, but it was our comic book guy. Like, he organized it a couple of years ago, and yeah, it was a lot of fun, man. It was 2 whole hockey arenas full of like just pure geekdom, like just
that's
Star
how
Wars
stuff. Gauge the size of their geek conventions. How many hockey rinks does it take up? So the answer in this case is 2.
Yeah, it was pretty. It was bigger than I thought.
2-rinker. Way to go, boys, eh?
Oh yeah. It was something. Like, I was walking around the first place. The best part is, I was telling Kyle, he had met me there after. Like, I bought my tickets prior at the comic book shop, and then, I get there, and I got there about an hour and a half before Kyle, and I just walked into the place. Like, no one stopped me. No one asked to see my ticket or anything. It was pretty funny.
They probably all knew who you were, Corey. Tumbling Saber celebritydom followed you there.
Hey. Yeah, that makes you have a point.
The seas were parting for you.
Yeah,
they knew exactly who you were.
Yeah, it was. Anyway, it was a good day. I got quite a bit of Star Wars swag. I got to meet. Actually, James, you'd find this interesting. This guy's name was John Stoker. He was an older man at this point, but he's voiced. If you look at him, like if you look at him on IMDb, he's voiced like everybody at one point. It's crazy.
I know that guy actually. I know his brother Bram.
Okay. Oh, you bastard. All right, Dracula. All right, anyhow, yeah, man, he did like so many voices on that back in the day on Ewoks and droids.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so I got his autograph. He was actually his claim to fame, I guess. He was telling me he still gets residuals from it. Is do you remember Beastly from Care Bears? He was like the bad guy's little henchman.
Of course, I remember Beastly. That voice is very distinct.
Yeah. Yeah, it was him. It was pretty cool. So I chatted with him for a while, man. He was pretty appreciative as well.
Bro, you know what I heard today? The cast of Friends, guess how much they make every year off royalties?
Oh, it's got to be in the millions still.
Yeah, for sure. I would think so as well.
Many millions. 20 millions each. I have to go pick up my jaw. It's still on the floor. I was blown away.
Well,
Yeah,
that was from. Well, I don't know if it comes from that, but their final season or their final contract, they all sort of held out in unison, and they want $1 million an episode each.
Yeah. At the time, they were the highest paid actors.
Well, apparently it's doing amazing in syndication, and they're just raking it in hand over forklift.
And that's probably just a sign of with like their agents sealing like a really sweet contract.
I got to check my stats on that, actually. That could be way off base, because you know what? I heard that, and I didn't even double check. That's too crazy a number. Someone check that. I'll do it now.
Somebody get on that.
Somebody check my thing that I said. I'm going to do it now.
Anyway, I also got this comic book artist, Jeff Isherwood. He's done stuff for Doctor Strange and like Suicide Squad for Marvel and DC, all kinds of different stuff. He was actually at the premiere of Doctor Strange. He was invited. And
Jeff Isherwood is a legit name. He's a big name.
Yeah, so I got to chatting with him as well, and I had pre-planned this, so I brought my my blank Leia variant, and I finally just saw a picture of it. He posted it on Facebook, and I am stoked. It's beautiful. I'm gonna share it with the guys in the Talk Star Wars VIP room. What?
It's amazing. It's super, super dope, Corey. You must be pretty stoked.
Yeah, I'm definitely. I can't wait to get my hands on it. It's gonna have a nice place in the collection.
I can't wait to get it so I can put it in a box.
Yeah, for now. I got two boxes now.
Yeah. Anyway, I'll just reiterate what Corey said, that this little convention was fun. I mean, I went in there with my two kids, and I don't know what I was expecting. I wasn't sure if I was expecting them to cooperate, and they did not. So the upshot is I didn't have enough time really to stop at any vendor's booth to check through comics or whatever they were selling and really talk to the people. I was too busy with head on swivel, so I never really had time to break out the wallet and actually give up some money. So I'm a little bit richer today than I would have thought.
You should have left Harley with me for a bit or something.
As long as Carter's around, he's like a dog off a leash. He's just running around like crazy.
Yeah, it keeps you fit. You know, if you had Friends money, you could have bought whatever you wanted. I'm looking at it now. So this is from USA Today. They get 2%. That's their royalty, and Friends pulls in $1 billion a year in syndication. So that works out to $20 million each.
Oh my god!
That's awesome.
Crazy.
Yeah, good for them.
Yeah, good for them.
Anyway, so I'm surprised we're not a little bit grumpier, guys, and I apologize to the listeners if we do get grumpy. Our beloved hockey team, once again, year after year, they disappoint us in the worst way, and they've done so again. So if we get salty, if we get grumpy, that is most likely the reason why.
You know, I do understand why you warned the listeners, but I thought we just had this unspoken thing that we weren't going to talk about it, Kyle.
Yeah, seriously, I thought we were beyond this. You're such an idiot.
See, that's exactly what I'm talking about. No, I think it's important to be upfront with the listeners. If we just feel a little salty and grumpy and what's eating Corey today? Why is he being such a cranky, whiny baby? Well, it's probably because the Habs got bounced from the playoffs in an embarrassing fashion. I'll have
we got
you know.
Smoked. But I'm gonna take this on the angle of like a fan rivalry perspective. It made it a little. The pill was easier to take this morning, or this afternoon, I should say, when the Boston Bruins joined the Habs on the golf course. I mean, what are you going to do? Good teams go out all the time.
There's nothing you can do. Did you guys catch Ryan Johnson really slap down this big mouth goofball on Twitter?
No.
I hope you put in a big smack effect. You don't usually do sound effects, but that's a good place for it.
I'm probably not going to do it.
All right, there you go.
So, this bozo gets on Twitter, and he's got Collider and Ryan Johnson tagged in a tweet, and he goes, they're just going to copy Empire, nothing new here. And nothing against Johnson, it's Disney that controls everything. Which I thought, hey, it's pretty amazing that you can present your opinion as such an ironclad fact. Like that's pretty cool. And then Ryan Johnson replies to the guy, and I love this. I love it when the celebrity or athlete actually replies to the criticism, because it's so unexpected. You think that these people have been coached or just don't have time to reply. or that they have their notifications turned off. So he replies to this guy, "Hi Greg, this is Ryan. I've actually had as much creative ownership as on any film I've done. Don't know if you'll like it, but it's me." Which
Perfect.
It's what a perfect reply.
It is.
What a perfect reply. And whether anyway, I'm not even going to say it. It's a perfect reply. And then he replies, "Good to know. We'll have to wait and see."
I don't think Ryan Johnson will have to wait and see. He knows already.
Yeah, he's in the
means I'll
process
have
of
to
figuring it
wait and
out,
see.
but yeah, he's got a pretty good feeling. Anyway, I thought the
It's
best.
on Twitter, appropriately named that place.
It is
Hey,
sometimes. But
I got
the
a
best
question.
part.
All right,
Go
sorry,
ahead, Corey.
go for it. No, go for it.
So I thought the best part was that this guy in his profile, in his Twitter bio, it says, "Occasionally will put foot in mouth."
Wonder if he changed it after Ryan Johnson responded to his tweet.
I don't. Yeah, that's a good question. I would hope for his sake, but if he didn't, well, then he was actually very honest with the world about himself.
He knows himself, exactly.
Well, what a silly thing to say, though. Like you know nothing about how they like none of us know nothing about what goes on behind the scenes.
Yeah, but that's a way for him to peripherally show to his Twitter friends that he knows that the world, the subculture complained that the first one was a reboot and this one might be a reboot. So he did that all within limited characters. Come on, that's very clever of him.
And some people just look at it and still say it's Disney. Like, come on.
It's so superficial.
But I don't understand. I know that I understand the hatred of corporations overall, that they're these maniacal evil puppet masters. I get that. But they also own Marvel.
Sorry, guys.
Sound effects, amazing.
Oh, there's
gonna
going to be a
have to
bunch
put
of that
some in.
tonight.
Yeah.
You should lightsaber out the honks that Corey's going to have blowing his nose. Your schnoz is going to sound like, oh, Corey, sorry, I don't mean to interject too many times, but remember you did the lightsaber thing? The sound, you were close. I mean, I looked at it because I was curious as to how the motor would make that noise. And it was the projector, when they brought it close to like whatever equipment they were using, caused feedback. So it wasn't the projector's motor necessarily. It was the feedback that it caused that created part of the lightsaber noise.
Whatever, nerd.
Hey, perfect. So that's Chop Rules with a Z.
Oh,
Corey's getting.
I'm dying.
Oh, wow. You know,
Jesus.
when you jump on Twitter
Instant
or
karma.
do a podcast and you bring trivia, you bring Star Wars trivia to the table and you don't have the answers correct, yeesh, you better be ready.
Yeah,
I wasn't saying it for that. I was just pointing it out because I figured someone would, and better it comes from within the show. No.
I'll copy paste you what I read. Whatever. That's what I saw.
I wasn't calling you out for that. That's not what I meant.
I'll take it there happily. Double check your sources.
Dude, come on. It's close. It was close.
All right,
Yeah.
fine, whatever. Anyway, so I just figure like why do you have what is this? Where's this all come from about picking on Disney and saying, well, they're these awful people who want to ruin Marvel and Star Wars. They've done no such thing. Virtually every Marvel movie has been a home run, except for a couple. Right? Like they've just knocked that franchise, or actually they've let that franchise knock itself out of the park. And they're doing the same with Star Wars.
For sure.
I mean, we go back of what, a month when we did when Rogue One dropped. Actually, not even a month. Jeez, I don't, who cares? It's irrelevant. Rogue One came out, and there were stories about. I think Gary Whitta told this story about how they wanted to do a different, or there was an ending they wanted to do, or they felt they had to do. I should have looked this up before, but.
Following
that's what it is.
Segment where he criticizes Corey for not doing his homework. Perfect. Continue.
Yeah,
boss.
I just sit back and smile.
No. See, I'm.
See, what?
What's the word now? James, as a rapper, what do you call it?
Freestyling?
Yeah. I'm ad-libbing off the top of my head here. They wanted to do the ending with where everybody dies, But they kept on second guessing themselves, saying, no, Disney's going to shoot this down. We can't do it this way. And in the end, Disney didn't even enter the equation. It was Kathleen Kennedy who said, yeah, do whatever.
You know what? I could see how people fear big corporations like Disney for their beloved little cult classics. Like, you don't want Disney getting their hands on the Rocky Horror Picture Show remake. I don't think. No offense to Disney. That's not who I want doing it. But because Star Wars was like a family friendly, or it was sort of what Disney does. It's in their ballpark, so it fits. You don't have to worry too much about the parent company because it's just a good fit for them to have the Star Wars under their umbrella, don't you think?
Yeah, they just own it, and they put people in charge to run it, like well-qualified people, like Kathleen Kennedy named. Who was it? Vanity Fair, or I can't remember who. Hollywood Reporter, I'm not sure, but she was named by some pretty prominent publication as the most powerful woman in Hollywood.
I saw that, or you brought it up. Like, you don't want them doing the graphic novel. What was it? Was it hit theaters like 10 years ago that did super well?
Road to Perdition?
No.
Oh, Watchmen?
No, Watchmen either, but it was
League
even
of
much
Extraordinary Gentlemen?
It was even much more violent.
Oh, 300?
Oh my goodness. Well, you don't want them getting any of those. It'll come back to me as we go. Damn.
Anyway, Disney is not ruining anything here. So maybe we could again, like we seem to have this talk all the time. Let's put away that silly narrative that Disney is sitting there like some evil overlord looking over everybody's shoulder saying, no. Let's make it blue instead of green. That's better. Let's change that guy to that guy. He's cuter. Like that's not happening. There is no evidence of that happening.
No, I hope not. Sin City was the graphic novel I was.
Yeah.
You don't want Disney getting their hands on. That's not under their umbrella.
But Disney wouldn't touch that either.
No, well, you're right. So, yeah, they're good at Star Wars. So they leave it to the right people, like you said.
Yeah, since the onset, since we heard that Star Wars was coming back, like I said since day one, there's no other studio that can tackle the gravity of Star Wars that they have the ability to deal with it.
There's not many. There's a couple that could. I would disagree and say there's 2 or 3 studios that could.
Well, they could do it, and any studio could really pump it out. The money would be coming in to make the movies, but I don't know. I just see Disney having the structure to be able to support such a franchise.
All they need is the money. I mean, of course, $4 billion is a lot of money, but they acquired Lucasfilm and just let them do what they do. Lucasfilm was fine on its own. It's fine with Disney. It would be fine with somebody else, assuming that somebody else stayed hands off. Anyway, I figure we should put our money where our mouth is and start a kangaroo court. So every time we mention Disney as the people who are in charge of or are somehow responsible for what goes into a Star Wars movie, we put our money into a kitty somewhere. We have a silly little kangaroo court. What do you guys think of that?
I think I want ads to look this over before I agree to anything.
Yeah. Where do I sign?
Corey's just looking to fork his money over.
Yeah, right. It's on. From henceforward.
From henceforward.
So you can talk about Disney as long as you're talking about Disney stuff. But talking about Disney in regards to them actually being the ones making Star Wars, you're fined. That's it. What should the fine be? Like $1 an offense? 25 cents an offense? $5 an offense?
Oof.
Yeah, $1 feels right. Even a toonie. We have big coins here. We can do the biggest coin.
All right, $2 per offense. We'll have ads notarize all that, and we'll be good to go.
Perfect. I like how our knight is also our secretary, our question asker, our notary. He's a good dude. He's like a jack of all trades.
Our dealer.
Whoa, what do you mean?
Good lord. Keep your comments to yourself, man. All right, so let's move into some Star Wars news here after what, half an hour?
Already?
Something like that. All right, so a couple of Rebels things here. So the final season, according to Dave Filoni, is going to play out as more or less one big arc. After a couple episodes where I guess they said a couple things, the whole final 10 to 12 episodes is going to run on like one big long movie. I think that's amazing. What do you guys think?
Okay, I'm going to call this the Stranger Things effect. I think this is like the popularity of that affecting the writing of shows like Rebels. And I love it. I think it's great. Timing-wise, I think that sort of makes sense, doesn't it?
Sure.
He'd have been writing that show for season 4, as, not before Stranger Things had its run.
Well, Stranger Things, that was last year, about this time last year? Maybe 10 months ago?
I don't know how far in advance he's got things canned, but I mean, I would imagine at least some of it's fluid.
Yeah. Yeah, I think some of it's fluid for sure. Corey, down with longer arcs, shorter arcs? What's your thing?
And concerning this story, I think it makes perfect sense. Like, this whole story, season 1, well, we haven't seen season 4 yet, but now that we know his kind of game plan for it, I think it's just going to make so much sense, and just as one piece of Star Wars lore, it's going to fit together so well, and it's going to come together so beautifully. I really hope that, I really trust Filoni, and I think he's going to do this series justice. So yeah, I'm totally on board with that. Like you said, like they're going to get things set up at the beginning. They're going to get some character stuff established. You figure from what he had said that we're going to get a little more information on Sabine's past, what exactly she did for her family and Mandalore to kind of like exile her and recompense for that. And then maybe we'll get her dad back as well into the picture. And then probably bringing in Bo-Katan.
Probably. We saw her in the preview. She's definitely coming back.
No, but like right off the hop, I'm kind of saying like get it, because Filoni basically said like, we got to have 2 things to kind of tie up at first. Get those things underway in the first 2-3 episodes maybe, and then from there on out it's kind of one story, one mission, and that's what I'm liking about this season. I think they got something to do. There's something going on here. Like I watched the trailer again, and we all know Thrawn's a big blue baddie. He's a big blue meanie, but what Hera says, that I think she says something along the lines of someone like so with so much evil in him that he blacks out the stars, and maybe Thrawn's got something big up his sleeve that, it's obviously it's not going to trump like a Death Star or something, but whatever they have to accomplish this season, it's going to be vital to the rebellion's survival, kind of. It's got to. And more than that, I hope it's got something to do with the Force as well. But God, I love this story. I can't wait to see it. I'm not in withdrawal yet, but I am missing it already.
Fortunately, it just finished.
Yeah.
I'm down with the long arc thing, but it tells me that all these storylines are going to converge together, which I think is really cool. It's really going to show off the abilities of the writers. If they can make all these different strands and all the characters' arcs dovetail nicely together into one final season, I think that'll be really, really strong. And you're right, Corey. Filoni kind of lost his opportunity to end Clone Wars his way. So it seems like he's putting everything, all his eggs into one basket in ending Rebels, which I think is going to lead to a really satisfying season 4, as abbreviated as it is.
And in some ways, too, you got to give Filoni props for... There's so many people that hate on Rebels because it's not Clone Wars, but, he's given so much of Clone Wars within Rebels, and I think even as this comes to an end, this series, it's almost going to be it's still somewhat related to Clone Wars, right? Like with the Mandalorians and all that. Like it's still all coming together from that as well. There's the fallout from that he's gonna make this all dovetail together, like you say.
Yeah, he's still tying up loose ends from Clone Wars, the stuff that he wanted to revisit for years since Clone Wars ended years ago, for sure.
And the Saw storyline, we don't know how exactly he's going to be involved, but
Hey,
I saw two tubes in the trailer too. Did you see that?
No, I missed. Was it just like a face shot, or was he in the background somewhere?
He's in the background. Basically, all you see is his tubes, like he's being covered by like a pilot's chair. So it's kind of sneaky. It's just in there for a few seconds.
All right. Yeah. Well, there was a bit on that he would be in season 4, which is kind of cool. But I imagine he won't be there much more than a cameo.
Yeah, he's just gonna be chilling with Saw.
Chilling, because that's what they do.
Yeah.
All right. Continuing with Rebels. No Scarif or Jedha in Rebels season 4, which kind of, almost like the Chicago Blackhawks going out in Rogue One. This busts a lot of Rebels fans' brackets. So Filoni was talking to Slash Film, and I'll get the quote ready here because it's a lengthy one and I didn't feel like writing it out, so I'm just going to read it off the iPad. So he was asked by Slash Film, "Will we see the Battle of Scarif in Star Wars Rebels?" And Filoni's reply is, "I don't think that would be right. It would be to hinge this series' end on a battle we've already seen the outcome of in a feature film. It would be a little repetitious, anticlimactic. I think as an initial impulse it sounds great, but the more you think about it, you go, I don't know. It would kind of taper your expectations and the tension would be cut quite a bit. I like our ending, and I love that battle. I think it would be neat to see that battle one day from the Ghost perspective, because we know the Ghost is there, but we don't know who's in the Ghost. So that's kind of a good question that needs to be answered." So James, are you kind of bummed that we're not going to see the Battle of Scarif from the Ghost perspective, or in the end do you agree with him?
I don't agree, but I'm not bummed. I think you could show it from that perspective and not have it be the climax of the series. You just have whatever battle he's talking about, unless what he's saying is that it goes down before that battle, so they can't be involved. In which case, well, then what are you going to do?
Yeah.
If their storyline has them or some of or most of or any of the main characters dying before then maybe there's a reason we can't see that battle. Maybe it's, who knows who's in the Ghost in that live action shot.
Yeah, we have no idea who's piloting that thing. Corey, what's your take?
Well, I think I didn't read that quote from Filoni. I don't know if it was in the link that you had sent, but
oh yes, it was.
Really?
Yep.
Hey,
come on, Corey, get with your show notes. Do your homework,
dude. I'm all messed up.
Yeah, you look like the guy that I texted you just now.
Anyhow, no, I'm totally 100% with what he had said. Scarif, no. Jedha, possibly. Scarif in the sense that, exactly like you said, it's anticlimactic for our Ghost crew. Like, they've waited all this time to have a split-second cameo in a feature film. Like, no. Like, this show's had 4 seasons dedicated. Like, it would take so much away from what they've done to have it have so little impact in a movie like that. Like, it just makes no sense for me to have the lead up to that battle. You know what I mean? Like, the lead up is to that battle, granted, but whatever they have to do first it's going to be probably involving. It could somehow have something to do with the Death Star, but I don't know. It wouldn't do the characters and that show justice to have it so overshadowed by Rogue One.
Yeah, I tend to agree, and you can add my name to the list of people that were like, yeah, no, they have to have season 4 end at Scarif, or have Scarif be involved. And like James said, maybe they do Scarif in Rebels season 4, but it's just not the climax. That's a workaround, or a loophole, as Corey would put it.
No, Scarif, no, because they don't know about Scarif, right? They don't know
that's
that.
True. Yeah, well, I mean, again, we don't know the timeline of this. We don't know how far into the future it's going to end, but I assume it'll end before Scarif.
they could have wormed Jedha into there just because, we know that Saw's making an appearance in this. And, we got the temple there, Baze and Chirrut. Would have been nice just to get, it would have been fan service, I guess, but if Kanan and Ezra had to go there for some reason to maybe go get Saw or whatever, they could have thrown that in there, but it looks like that's not happening.
Nah, it doesn't look like it at all. No, I just, the more I think about the whole Scarif thing, it makes sense. Like, you're not going to have Filoni and all the people involved with the show put together these characters and build out their stories and put this wonderfully creative show together and then tell them exactly how they're going to end it, which is, like Dave said, anticlimactic. The tension's gone. We know how this ends. So it's only fair and right to let these guys do an original ending that fits the show and fits the creatives.
And the characters.
Well, yeah, of course. So yeah, with regards to Jedha, Filoni's quote was, anything's possible in storytelling. I've learned that lesson. Ever since we brought Darth Maul back, I've learned that lesson. I think we have a certain specific task ahead of us, and with respect to that film, we wanted things like Jedha to be very special for that movie when it came out. It's a wonderful sandbox they've created over there, but it's not something I could really play with in this series at this point. We have our own Jedi mysteries that we've been wrapping our head around on this show. Well, I find that pretty interesting. I mean, I am a little bit disappointed that there'll be no Jedi. Like you said, Corey, I think there could have been some way for them to go there, especially with Saw factoring into the season. But do you have any further thoughts on Jedi mysteries?
I love that you asked me that. Yeah, well, not really, but I think that's amazing that he at least.
I love that you asked me that. Not really.
At least, he's talking about it.
I'm so glad we can talk about this. I have nothing new to say though.
No, it's exciting though. At least he's he mentioned it. Ezra and Kanan are kind of the one of the bigger questions as to what's going to happen to them.
I think he must be talking about the Bendu, no? Because that's a storyline that hasn't touched in live action yet. And so if he's talking about we have our own mysteries to hash out in the animated series, that's got to be at least one of them.
Yeah, that too. I mean, he's created that. There's Ahsoka. There's all kinds of things that are going to come together in this series that I hope paint a broader picture of the Force and how we understand it as fans and how Jedi can possibly maybe even understand it as well.
Well, that's interesting. So what do you see as these characters' final challenges? James, I know you're a bit behind, but is there anything that is on your mind as far as, well, this character needs to face blank?
No, but I'll just quickly say this, and I'll let you guys, the experts, talk about what you think the characters are in for. But I think the writers are going to take the opportunity to teach us something new about the Force so that the audience knows something that the on-screen characters can learn later. I don't know if that makes sense.
Isn't that what I just basically said?
Yeah. more eloquently put, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think that's it. I think they're just setting up an idea for us that we can translate later. So it won't be a character thing, just an idea thing.
Yeah, that's totally fair. I can't really verbalize a specific challenge for a specific character. I only look at Hera as the mom of the group and how it's slow. Everybody's slowly going their own path. Sabine with the Mandalorians. Kanan sort of is really deep diving down Jedi lane now. Ezra, it seems like he's capped out as far as what he can absorb from Kanan. So it seems like they're all at these forks in the road. And Hera's challenge is going to be in saying goodbye to this family while obviously getting promoted within the rebellion's ranks, but in trying to keep that thing on the rails as well.
Yeah,
I think a lot of the season, I think a lot of this season is going to revolve around Hera and how she deals with the loss of her family.
I think it's going to be super emotional, especially when you put it like that. I can't handle that, man. But it's going to be It's gonna be awesome, man. Like I don't know if we're gonna see Ezra dabble so much more, be challenged by the dark side maybe so much, but it's possible in the sense that his storylines kind of followed both Anakin's and Luke's in the sense that, you know, they're kind of orphans and whatnot. They're brought into the Force at a later age, and they're both, you know, they love their friends, and their loved ones mean so much to them that at a point it could possibly be their downfall or a gift at the same time, you know? Like, it could go either way.
For sure, Corey. And also the way the two main characters, Anakin and Ezra's, like, storylines sort of parallel each other, and how they're both great friends, you know?
What?
I'm just being silly. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, I was like, what happened there? I was about to agree with you. I was like, wait a minute.
I just recapped what you said again. I was listening. I do that for my wife all the time. Just recap the last thing she said, and she's not alone.
Yes.
I can't see you. Don't worry.
All right, so Dave Filoni, I'm moving things along here.
Off the rails.
Off the rails. Dave Filoni and a standalone movie. Do you guys see this as something that can or should happen, Corey?
Oof. Can, yes. Should, most likely. If anyone deserves it, it's him. Like, this is, you'd said it last week, he's like the George Lucas's protege. You know, like, he's the man. He's learned so much. You know, granted, he's only really worked in animation thus far, but at the same time, he's got all this opportunity to observe and learn, and that's what he said he's been doing. And the best part about this is, like, it's kind of like me. Like, I don't want to get into anything, like, let it be like house renovations or whatever, unless I
post editing on a podcast.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I need to be 100% comfortable. I don't want to get stressed out about it and be like, oh my God, what's going on? You know, like, I need to be comfortable with it. And it's exactly what he said. He's like, our fans deserve that. Like, everybody deserves it. The writers, everybody. Like, I can't let my crew down because I don't know what I'm doing. So, yeah, like, as long as he feels he's ready, then I think he'll be ready, because George told him to, like, dream big and don't be afraid, you know? Like, if you think he could do it, like, something along those lines, you know, if you could think it, like, it could be done, you know, like, just.
Okay, I didn't see that quote, but sure.
That's not a quote, but it's kind of like a general. It's how Celebration opened, kind of like just Dave Filoni saying like how scared he was, like, and then George just kind of saying like, you know, like, nothing's too grand, no idea's too like big, you know, like, you have this whole team behind you and we'll figure it out together.
All right, James, what do you think? Like, is there something to be said for just sticking with what you know and excelling where you're an expert, or should people just be constantly looking to move out of their comfort zone?
Everybody's different, but it's not unusual at all for people to get really good at something and then want to get really good at the next thing. That happens to a lot of these creative types. So yeah, and I don't have the reluctance or the resistance to the idea that a lot of people seem to have. I see it as an easy transition for him to make. I don't see it so much as a transition, or a difficult transition as it could be, because it's Star Wars to Star Wars. You know, if he was going animated to, you know, directing some epic that was
I can't help myself.
Different. That's amazing. Try to aim towards the microphone. That was completely different material, then I'd say, like, yeah, that might be more difficult, but still doable. But I mean, this is Star Wars to Star Wars. He'll be fine.
No, I think the main point that he was trying to make is that, you know, again, like, cast and crew, like, you can't leave them like dangling. And the main thing when it comes to movies like this, and even his shows, we have an idea, but this idea has to remain within a budget. Like, and if you don't, you know, if you're all laxy daisy and, you know, you're slipping up every now and again, it's gonna cost you, especially on a big production like that, you know.
No, that's fair when you put it that way. If people are running around being laxy daisy, then big trouble.
Well, producers too. I mean, they have stocks, they have money invested in this stuff. They want to see like you can't let them down. Like he's got to be on top of his game for something like that. And live action is just a different beast than animation. So I would say go for it, but be comfortable with it. Don't just jump into it like head on.
Well, I mean, if he sticks in the Star Wars family, it's not like you get a practice run at live action. It's okay, Dave, here you go. Unless at some point they do live action TV and he starts there and then he works his way up to a film. I mean, that could be
but they can also do
away.
Unit B stuff. Like he could do some other location stuff or set stuff while the
second unit director
doing something else. Yeah, let him get his feet wet.
Well, he said in that article that I'm paying very close attention to the things that are going on around me. And he's taking notes, man. Like,
well, yeah, and that's just it. I think there's a couple of lines in there, specifically that, and at the end of that quote is, in some circles you find you're a master, and in some circles you're still a Padawan. We should always be learning, all of us, always be learning. And I think I can picture his voice in my head, and he's got a smirk on his face, and he's being coy. And I think there's a little bit of code in there, Dave Filoni speak, for saying that, give me some time, I'm gonna pick this up, and yeah, I've had the conversation. I want to do a live action movie. They're gonna give me one, and I just need to learn a bit of the craft.
And it's gonna be called the Ahsoka story.
Well, it would make sense, wouldn't it, to let him at least dabble in the things that he already knows as far as lore goes and bring that to the big screen. I think that makes most sense. But I don't think anybody would object to the idea of Dave Filoni getting a standalone or saga movie for that matter.
Of course not. And, if he wanted to get his feet wet prior, maybe he could even get a co-directing thing going on, pair up with like some awesome director like that would like match the theme that he's going for. And
does that work well? I mean, I know it's worked well in the Captain America franchise, and the Wachowski brothers have done it.
What is it?
Captain Marvel is doing a joint thing.
Yeah.
I guess it can work. But you really have to have, I think, a tight relationship with the person you're doing it with.
Yeah. Yeah, you could end up killing each other during a production like that.
All right. So that's a yes to Dave Filoni. I think it's a matter of time before he actually gets behind the camera on a live action movie. But the animation stuff better be left in good hands while he's done.
And that's another interesting thing that he said is that, he's got all these stories like kind of that he wants to flesh out in his head. And if live action makes sense for his vision, then he'll travel down that route. Like, obviously, granted, I get what you're saying. Like, I'm on the same page as you with the smirk and the, like, I think he's going to do it eventually, give him some time, but yeah.
Anyway, on to Kathleen Kennedy, the aforementioned most powerful woman in Hollywood. So she's, of course, everybody wanted a piece of her at Star Wars Celebration. And so Fandango cornered her and got a few minutes with her. And she had a pretty nice quote about Rian Johnson, about understanding what Lucas has done and making Star Wars more complex. So she said, part of it is Rian Johnson. I love his talent and his commitment to these stories and his understanding of the mythology that George Lucas created. It's really something that I think you'll see, that he takes these characters and develops their complexities. He's not afraid to try things that move this into a more complex universe, and I think that's great. I think that's what Star Wars needs. So guys, James, do we agree with Kathleen Kennedy? Does Star Wars need to be more complex?
I hate to disagree with the most powerful woman in Hollywood on our growing podcast. So she's wrong, but I'll tell you why she's wrong. Because I just don't see it that way. Sorry, Kathleen. Look, she's probably right because she's always right. But I don't think I agree. Corey, do you agree with her?
I'm not 100% sure, to be honest. Like,
More
I like
complex. I mean, that to me, of course. Sorry, I asked Corey a question that cut him off, but the reason I ask is if you agree is because I hear that and instantly my brain goes to, we got to make the Force more complex and throw the Gray in and throw out the Jedi. Like I hear all these things that I'm afraid of. So that's why I'm wondering if your brains are doing that too.
yes, they are.
Well, if you have fears and you have anxieties about what's coming, then that reinforces it.
Yeah. Like,
It depends
well,
on
that's
what
where
side
I'm
of
at.
the fence you're sitting on.
well, again, like these words, like look at them. Like, granted, okay, we're gonna get more movies. Okay. Then she's like about the Skywalker saga, and she's like, I don't know. And I want more movies. I want more saga movies, but moving into the future, we said it last week. I'm really skeptical of that. How he'll do that, and I got the same impression. Like, I don't want this to be about when they look at it and say, like, does it make sense financially? Like, I want to say, does it make sense for the fandom and the story to end it here? Like, yes,
I
it's
heard
gonna
at the board meetings that's usually how they discuss it.
they own the franchise, man. They can do all kinds of stuff. This is just but one story.
Who owns the franchise?
Well, Disney owns Lucasfilm, I think it is.
Does that count? Did I make him pay $2?
No way.
No, that stands, and ads hasn't notarized the whole thing yet.
Okay.
And I like the fact that they're kind of staying true to what George did too, or not did, but supposedly he had 9 stories lined up. Like, let's end this saga. If you want, I don't want to see eventual other stories with in the future. Well, maybe again 30, 40 years in the future we'll see another Rey, or end this one at 12 at the most. But let's get some resolution to this saga, and then play with the entire galaxy in the years prior. There's still stories to be told too, but
I feel like you've said that before.
I'm adamant on that though, in a way. Like, I'm apprehensive. Like, I don't want there to be we're the new Jedi Space Galactic Police, I don't want that.
The new Turbo Jedi, where they ride around in giant robotic lions, and 5 of them together make
the Gray Jedi.
Yeah.
I've always felt the reason Star Wars works so well across generations and age ranges is because as a kid, you just look at it and it's a spectacle and it's a very easy tale. You can tell who's good, you can tell who's bad. And then as you got older, you realize that there's layers to the movie. There's politics going on, and there's sleight of hand in certain relationships, and it gets as deep as you want to look. And now we have all these books like Propaganda that are completely blowing out the geopolitical landscape of the galaxy. There's visual dictionaries and encyclopedias. There's no limit anymore to how detailed and granular they can make these things. So I don't know, I don't know if I don't think I agree that things need to get very complex on screen. I think that's not a smart move. But I think it's smart to lay the groundwork so that you put pieces in place, excuse me, so that future storytellers have things to latch onto that have been established in the galaxy already. Does that make sense? Did I just ramble for way too long there?
No, it touches back
No,
upon
that
what
makes
we've been.
perfect sense.
Yeah, we've been saying it for a while too. Let's come on. This series ends with something mystical and magical, and then that story can still continue. But from the beginning, now that you have that basis in the past that we can go touch back on and look at that now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of ways they can do this, and she went on to say, I certainly foresee movies past 9. Whether or not we carry on the Skywalker saga, George always intended 9 movies, and whether we continue that or not is something we're talking about right now. If the story warrants it, we'll absolutely do it. If it actually inspires new ideas, then we'll probably head in that direction. We just don't know yet. I tend to think she probably does have a better than we don't know idea. I think they have a pretty solid understanding of where they're going. they're just not anywhere close to announcing it. Because I think they're staying pretty close to what Lucas has done. So I'm going to agree that 9 is the end of it. It still sounds weird to me to say that, and I'm not. My brain is telling me that. I don't know if my heart believes that yet. But it seems like they're sticking with what Lucas had originally envisioned. But yeah, I don't know if you guys agree with that.
I hope so.
It's so hard to say without seeing the second movie, because one movie in, it feels like we're so far away from that complete resolution. But maybe we'll feel way differently after another movie.
Okay, so here, okay, let's just have this really silly question again. It's yes or no. We don't really need to get into it again. But is Rey a Skywalker?
Yes.
Corey?
In some way, shape, or form.
Yes, loopholes.
God, just is Rey a Skywalker?
I'm gonna say no.
Okay, I mean that's good to have a variety of answers, because if she's a Skywalker, then the door is open, of course, for movies, Skywalker movies beyond Episode 9. But if she's not, and I lean towards she's not, still kind of hoping she is. Yeah, like I can't see Kylo or Ben surviving this saga. I don't see Luke surviving it. If Rey is, or if Rey's not, then there's no Skywalkers left that we know of, and I think it'd be silly to introduce unknown Skywalkers at this point. But yeah, my mind right now is that there's going to be no Skywalkers left, so this is where the Skywalker story ends. And again, that plays into sticking with what Lucas had originally set out.
And so what? Even if Rey was a Skywalker, just say she could be the key to bring it all to a head, right? So she can die in the process as well, and it can all end. You know, she doesn't necessarily, because she's a Skywalker, doesn't necessarily mean that they have to continue the saga. It gives them an out, yes, but
yeah, I guess technically you're right. Anyway,
nobody wants to think about them killing off Rey. That's the thing.
Yeah, I don't want to consider that.
Well, in the long run, like I said it before, like I just don't want it to be like, sitting at the boardroom and like, like how can we really, really squeeze the juice out of this thing to the last bit? Like I don't want that. Like I just want them to do this story justice. And she said that she mentioned it, like we're debating, like how we're gonna do the story justice. And I hope it's by giving it a nice resolution with a beautiful bow tie.
Well, I mean, the good news is I think they're going to, obviously, I can put away my cynical hat for 1 second, and I believe that they'll do it based on where they think the strongest storytelling is, and not where the easiest dollars are. I believe that, because they've learned that they can tell any story, and they'll make a ton of cash, an absolute ton of cash. So I don't think they need to worry too much if it's not a Skywalker movie.
What keeps the people coming back is that they're doing these stories justice thus far.
Well, yeah, and that's the whole thing.
And either way, like again, I'm a bit skeptical, a bit like James, but I'm willing to roll with it. We're gonna see what they do with it, and who knows, maybe I might be like so on board with what they do, But for the moment, like I just want a resolution to our saga.
You hear that, everybody? Corey wants a resolution to the saga. He may not ever say that again.
Our saga.
And then finally, she was asked by Fandango if she anticipates them making any big announcements about what movies are coming next. She says they're coming, but don't expect them right now. I wouldn't say this year, but certainly by next year, she said. So this is in reference to saga movies. This whole conversation with Fandango is about the saga movies, which we kind of touched on in last week's Sith Disturbers, and there was some confusion going on with that out in fandom, because she said next year in one comment, and then as we see with the next story with MTV, they cornered her. she had mentioned that something was coming this summer, and that was in reference to standalone movies. But we'll get there in just a second. With MTV, she spoke about Rey's parentage being a very key part of this whole saga. She reiterated that this is the second part of a 3-part trilogy, and it's intended to be that way. So again, if we're going to harken back to, is this going to be an Empire ripoff? Well, I guess in some ways it will definitely echo it, but that's not echoing Empire. That's echoing classical storytelling.
Agreed.
And then she said that Han Solo is in fact Han Solo's name. It's always been his name. So I think that's been put to bed, and we can think more about how, or we can think about Bob Iger's statement more in terms of Han Solo earning his reputation more than changing his birth certificate.
But just picture the words. Whoever posted that article, man, like how he got his name. Like let's watch Twitter and all social media go crazy.
Oh yeah, of course. Let's watch fandom twist itself in pieces. Anyway, so her quote was, regarding the next spin-off announcement, she specifically said, "We're getting close. My feeling is somewhere around the summer." So again, important to keep the distinction. Saga movies next year, spin-off movie perhaps this summer.
D23.
Are we all clear now?
Yeah, D23, baby.
Yeah, let's hope for that. And then, any of you guys watch Mr. Robot?
Sorry,
I
boss.
do not.
Nope.
I do not either. But I've heard really good things about it. I've heard it's just brilliant TV, and I'm sure some of our listeners can either confirm or deny that.
Let us know.
Yeah, absolutely. Let us know. So Jedi.co.uk, great Star Wars news site, they had a bit. They were reporting on a scoop that Omega Underworld had, and they'd heard from Lucasfilm that Sam Esmail, who is the creator of Mr. Robot, has been writing a standalone film, and not just any standalone film, but the Obi-Wan movie. And lo and behold, it sounds like this thing is just a kettle about to boil, and it just seems like it's one leak away from just getting blown up. So something to keep an eye on there. Nothing really to talk about, just especially since we've none of us can really speak to Mr. Robot. But again, something to definitely keep your eye on if this actually comes to fruition. And I do believe that they're getting their ducks in a row. If there's an announcement to be made this summer about Obi-Wan movie or another standalone movie, then they would have to have the creative team in place that's going to put it together. That's just one man's opinion. All right, so how about some ads edition, guys?
Yeah, time for ads.
Do it.
Perfect. All right, so we're going to hear what Ads has to say this week. I think he's got some Luke-shaped questions for us.
Hello chaps, hope everyone is well. So a couple of questions this week. The first one is, following the new trailer for The Last Jedi, how has that changed that first meeting for you between Luke and Rey? What do you think Luke's first line will be? And then my second question is that Luke's obviously been on the island on Act 2 for quite a while. We don't really know how he got there. Do you think that we're going to suddenly see his old X-Wing? Or do you think that maybe he was dropped off on the island and left there by someone? Lor San Tekka, perhaps? As this obviously changes the viewpoint with regards to Luke wanting to leave the island or being unable to leave the island. So kick that around for a bit. Be great to hear what you think, and I will look forward to catching up with you again next week. All right, take care. Bye.
There goes Ads. Thank you, sir. Always a pleasure hearing from Ads, the great Knight of the Commonwealth. And so, guys, let's talk about Luke. I mean, we've had this conversation before, I think at separate times, and certainly we've visited on both of these questions at least once. But now with the trailer out and little slowly things dripping out, maybe it's changed our opinion some. So I'll kick it over to you first, James. Luke's first words to Rey are going to be.
It's not that I haven't had time with this question before, but my paper's still blank, even though I looked at it. I
It's
heard
tough,
it.
eh?
I heard it when I saw the email come in yesterday, and then I looked at the show notes today and thought, okay, I got to write something down. But in the end, I don't have an answer. I have absolutely no clue what the first thing he's going to say to her is, because I don't think he's going to speak first. And so since I don't really, first I have to guess what she's going to say, and then I'd have to guess what his reaction is going to be. So how's that for my answer? I don't think he's going to speak first.
That's where I went. That's where my mind went.
Well, he still has to speak at one point.
Yeah.
yeah,
I know he's going to have a first line. I'm aware of that.
He's not going to be the icebreaker, is what James is saying.
That's right.
I get that.
So Corey, what do you think?
Well, first of all, I want to say that maybe we should try and maybe kick this over to Sith Disturbers too, because this could be pretty funny in a sense too. He looks at it and he says, "Mine." Anything, but
No.
Dude, there's been so many good memes about it or whatever on the internet.
Yeah, the best stuff's been done.
But you never know. You haven't had your crack at it yet. Could be some homework for Sith Disturbers. But I'm on the same boat.
I have a pretty good idea.
I'm on the same boat as you guys. Like I thought, okay, like, wow, it is kind of hard in the sense that you kind of want it to be pertinent, like you want it to be meaningful and all that. So, I kind of went this way. I said, she's looking at him, she's holding the lightsaber, and he says, "They said you would come."
Who's they?
Then that's exactly what I have written next as Rey's next line. Who is they? Then he answers her. More importantly, do you know why you have come? Boom, loopholed.
Oh Christ!
You set yourself up for that one, bro. I was hoping one of you guys would say, "Who's they?" But yeah, that's my thing. Yeah, they said you'd come, and okay, so who's they? And no, why are you here? More importantly.
I think that's fair. I mean, there's reports that Luke doesn't know Rey, but that doesn't kill your line. I don't think. He could know that somebody would be coming, but not knowing who.
Yeah, maybe the knowledge that he's gained from Act 2, or prior to getting to Act 2, or having communed with his dad, Yoda, Obi-Wan. Maybe they kind of figured something out, saying, go wait here and
park your ass there and wait.
Yeah, someone's gonna come meet you there, and all will be unveiled.
So the way I scripted it is Rey holding out that saber, and Luke's just kind of staring at her, and he's reluctant. I think what we've learned about Luke from the trailer is that he's not keen on getting back into this, or at least getting back into it with things as they are. So Rey is kind of losing her patience. She's getting a bit anxious, and she says, "Take this. This is yours." And Luke echoes something that she said in The Force Awakens, where he says something to the effect that it's not an exact line. Someone would be able to break it down and make a better line, but he replies that he doesn't want to see that thing ever again. So that's my take. He doesn't want, like exactly like Rey said to Maz, that she doesn't want any part of this. I think now that she's in the fight after the battle on Starkiller Base, and that she's been sent off to get Luke, I think when she gets there, she's going to find out that Luke doesn't want any part of this, and that's going to drive her nuts.
Yeah, the easy thing for a first line would be something like, "You shouldn't have come. You shouldn't have come here."
Yeah, something like that.
The other side of that is, "I've been waiting for you." But those are too easy. Like, it can't be one of those, can it?
Yeah, I thought that's why I was going right away to "I've been waiting for you. I've been waiting for you," and then I was like, what can spice that up a bit? So I said it's the same thing. What I'm saying is just different worded, basically, in saying that, they said you would come. I kind of try to spice it up with that.
I guess it's an option on the table. But I look at everything about this, and I think Ryan Johnson, and I think everything he does is going to be out of left field. So I'm wrong, Corey's wrong. It's going to be something that nobody has figured out. I think this is going to be totally fresh as far as content in a movie goes.
I hope so. Just again, touching back on what Kathleen Kennedy said earlier about like Rey's lineage, at least, you know, before they even started writing this whole story, you know, like it was the central. It seemed like it was like one of the central themes to what they had to accomplish. So I'm glad they're paying a lot of attention to that. They obviously knew the fans were gonna kind of freak out for her lineage, so you know, it's a big thing, and obviously they've put a great deal of thought into that.
Yeah, it'd be interesting.
Absolutely.
So you think it's going to be something way out there, right? Like she reaches out her hands with the lightsaber, and he says, "You've chosen quite a disarming icebreaker."
No, I just think that Ryan Johnson is not your typical movie maker. I think he's very progressive and forward-looking. I don't think he's going to lean on. I'll put it this way: I don't think he read the scripts for the other 6 movies and modeled the speech patterns and the type of dialogue. I don't think he modeled his dialogue on that. I think his is going to be much more modern.
Well, I think one thing we've said again before is that all the movies thus far, like they all kind of somewhat mirror each other in some way, shape, or form, which is I love that. It's classic storytelling. You know, it's the up and down, the seasons, the day and night, like dark and light.
You think maybe he does something like weird and mysterious, like he says, like the first thing he says is like 3, and she's like, "What's 3?" And he says like, "That's not the right question." Like some weird like.
Oh, that's Matrixy. No.
Yeah.
No, please don't. Or what? iRobot.
I don't know.
Or Will Smith just kept asking the wrong question. But no, I know where you're coming from, James. It's just something that we're all gonna go, huh? That's not what I expected Luke's first line to be.
Well, that's it. Like, that's why I had no guess. I don't think it's gonna be like, "You shouldn't have come." I don't think it's gonna be that typical line. So it's a really tough question, Ads.
It's a very tough question. Yeah, because no matter, like I know for sure that what I've got is wrong. There's no way. I'll be really happy if I'm right. I'm like, oh my god. But yeah, I really think that something really bizarre is not bizarre, but different is coming our way.
Well, that's a good thing. Like that's what we got in Empire, right? And you know, maybe that's a good thing for this part of the trilogy. Anyhow, this trilogy, we need that kind of like mystic, weird, dark factor that Empire kind of had. I think, and I think he's gonna somewhat travel down that route, but in a nuanced way, in a progressive new way.
That's a good point though, because obviously we all grew up in a time when the movies all belonged together. Like I don't know if we ever said, "I'm gonna watch A New Hope," and now, oh geez, now I have to wait, and then you see Empire and go, "Oh, this is really way different." Like we all kind of saw them as one movie at the same time. So they all naturally fit together like a puzzle. Now we have to wait, and each movie's different tone. You know, it sometimes it takes a while for them to mesh. You know, do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So my point is like, if we were around in 1980, how would we have viewed Empire after seeing A New Hope, or Star Wars as it was back then? This joyous, uplifting movie that introduced us to a whole new world, and then we get plunged into darkness. Like, it would have been easy for them to just, let's make another rousing adventure that ends with the good guys winning by the skin of their teeth. That would have been the easy thing to do and probably the expected thing. But instead, Lucas went and along with Irvin Kershner, made this really dank movie, at least from a color palette perspective, where the good guys lose. That was probably not what anybody was expecting, and I feel like maybe the reaction to Empire then might be the same reaction we have to The Last Jedi now.
But I don't know what the reaction was like then. Like, you know, it's just easy to say this, but I would think about it and be like, wow, like this is really cool. Like I can't believe that, that they did this. Like, the whole Vader thing, like again, like you said, kind of losing and leaving us on that, like, that note of despair, kind of Han being gone. And it's just classic space opera, like stuff that like people like just must have fell in love with at the time. Like nothing like that had ever been done. Like I would have been on board for sure right off the bat.
Yeah, because everybody loves new.
I think it would have.
No, I'm sure. I'm sure there was some divisiveness. James, what were you about to say?
Well, just I think it's your rear view mirror has the best view. I think it's easy to look back on stuff and anything really, and you can rub out the sort of uncomfortable when you look back on stuff. And when you I think you're right, Kyle. When you live it, I think it would have been tough to watch Empire after getting A New Hope and go like, well, okay, well, what happened here? I'm sure some people did love it, of course, on the spot, but I think it's probably the kind of movie that took a little digesting since it was so different.
Yeah, it definitely left people reeling, that's for sure. And that's what movies are all about too. Like people must have been like, whoa, man, like mind blower.
Well, I feel like if people had gotten into the movie in '77 and were like Star Wars fans, and then they see Empire, I'm sure they were on board. But the majority of people, the casual movie fan who thought Star Wars was fantastic, couldn't wait for part 2. Let's go see it. Holy cow, what is this? Who's that little green frog that talks backwards? What? The good guys are losing? Han Solo's in a block of chocolate? Like, what have they done? What is this? This stinks. It ends on a downer. This wasn't the movie I got 3 years ago. I'm sure there was plenty of that.
I would think so.
So I think we should. It won't be. I don't think it'll be as unexpected this time around. I think we are better prepared for the unexpected this time. Although I still think that Rian Johnson's going to surprise us. So there's Ad's first question. Okay, so the second part of his question. How did Luke get to Act 2? Corey, I'll kick this one over to you first. Did he get there by himself? Does he have his parking garage with an X-wing in it, or did he get dropped off somehow?
Well, I mean, I figure that, if he jets directly from the academy to his hiding spot, which is, I don't know if that happens. I think Ad's kind of said it well. Like, I think Lor San Tekka's kind of a bit of a piece there. But I would like to.
Well, Han says he went looking for the first Jedi Temple, so I think that's probably he didn't just get on a flight and go to Act 2.
No, he definitely did some research or figured something out prior, but he had some clues in hand that probably pointed him in the right direction. Anyhow, but
I think in a year from now we'll start getting that story.
Either way, I would think that he traveled there on his own, and who knows, maybe his ship kind of. He's a great pilot, but it possibly could have crashed there or whatever. Maybe he's stranded there. Maybe he's just sitting there growing mold and getting rusty. Like just waiting.
Oh, and then they can really piss off fans, and that she can, as a test, Rey can lift it up out of like a swampy conditions.
Or like just like being like pulled down by roots and like. The trees are growing through it and stuff. Like, yeah, get my plane out. It's ready to go.
Weren't there animals in the animated series that could like force jump through space?
Yeah, Purgles.
I think.
Well, not force jump, but they can travel through hyperspace.
I think maybe Luke learned how to do that.
That'd be cool. Not like that, but like I was thinking that maybe he got there. Like I was trying to get like the big reach was that. He kind of maybe.
My reach wasn't big enough.
Well, that's a big reach. But my big reach, because I kind of went not in that route, like traveling through hyperspace, but I was thinking maybe like some kind of like something to do with the Force that kind of like brought him there in a way.
Maybe he could ride a Purgle.
Well, if anybody could, it'd be him or Ezra.
That's not really what I think. I had that idea earlier and wanted to bring it up. I gotta agree with Corey. I think he has something there that's either still intact or was intact and now is in disarray only because of it hasn't been used.
Well, yeah, salt water, salty air is murder on metal, I would think.
Conventional alloys, but we don't know.
Conventional salt.
Yeah, to be honest, in all honesty, like I that was my reach, but it'd be weird if they had some kind of like Star Wars Stargate kind of deal, Like go temple to temple, like it wouldn't be work.
No,
it'd be done.
No.
It's been done.
That would be like complicating Star Wars, making it more complex.
Or lame.
Needlessly complex. Needlessly complex. They don't have to start introducing wormhole travel, time travel. No.
Live force ghosting.
So Kyle's not sure what he thinks. Corey, you?
Okay, so you guys are both on the same page that Luke has a ship there and it's probably just rotted out.
Yeah,
or he
fair.
has no interest
or maybe
in
even
leaving.
it still works. I don't think he. I think he could have left at some point. Maybe he can't now, like I said, just because it's sitting too long. Or maybe he still can. I think he's there by choice, though.
Well, if anyone can fix it, it's definitely Ray. And one of you guys made a good point in saying that maybe that is the case, that his ship's there and it's covered in the brambles and like roots and stuff have grown over it, and Luke's kind of just like, all right, I want this thing running by tomorrow.
Maybe he's just simply out of fuel.
Yeah. Or, maybe who cares? Like, he knows it's there. Like, it's there and it's just there now. Like, he knows that he has to wait. So I would like to think he kept it in working order, but you never know.
Yeah, I mean, either way they go, I'm sure they can make something very reasonable and give him very good reasons why if he has a ship, why he stayed and chose not to leave, or if he got dropped off. Well, I'm here until such time that X happens.
Could R2 have dropped him off?
Sorry?
Could R2 have dropped him off?
Actually, that's a good point. That's a good theory. Yeah, he could have dropped him off and then, he could have dropped him off and then shut down afterward.
Yeah, drop Luke off and then R2, see you later. And R2 pilots the ship back.
And that's why he shut himself down, so like they couldn't tap into like where Luke was.
That's a good theory. If it was anybody like really dropping him off, it would either be like Adz said, possibly Lor San Tekka having something to do with it, but I don't know.
I wish I remember what podcast we discussed this on initially. I mean, it goes pretty far back now. I would think in the 50s, maybe even the 40s. And I think I may have asked the guys at TSW the same question. Like, I think I asked them, is Luke there by his own volition? Like, can he leave at any time, or is he stuck there?
I remember that.
I think I asked those guys that.
That's another thing too, though. Like, think about it. Who do you think they'll ever flush out who gave Lor San Tekka that part of the map?
Oh yeah, I think that's being explored, if I'm not mistaken, in the Poe Dameron comic.
Really? Eh? Nice.
If it hasn't been, it soon will be. I know that Poe is after Lor San Tekka. I mean, this is going to lead into The Force Awakens. So I imagine we'll find out more about the little thumb drive and how Lor San Tekka got it. But my theory was that Lor San Tekka did drop him off and then took off. And I haven't seen anything yet that sways me from that. So until then, I'll stick with that. I think it makes sense. I don't know how good of a pilot Lor San Tekka is, but I can imagine him doing that.
Yeah, it would have been quite a few years earlier. He would have had some jump in his step still.
Well, not that far. I mean, we don't yet know exactly when. It's no more than 6 years.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you're right. Not so much jump then.
Not so much jump. Yeah, I'm sticking with Lor San Tekka until we learn that it's not. And I'm saying that Luke is stuck there by his own choice. Like, just put me here, and when it's time to go, like somebody will find me.
And think of that too. The temptation to leave would be really hard too, even probably for a Jedi. Like, if you're on that planet for what, a year, 2 years, 3 years, that ship started to look pretty good as an escape out of there. Like, so I think knowing that as a Jedi, landing there, maybe he was just like, I'm just gonna burn this thing to the ground right now to commit myself fully to this endeavor.
Burn the boats. Who's the guy that came to America and burned the boats when he got here?
I don't know. It's pretty smart though.
Every pirate.
No, it was one of those explorers they came across, and as long as they had their ships, they always felt like they could always just get on them and go home if the going got tough. So he ordered his men once they landed, burn the boats. We're staying, and so they did. I can't remember who that was.
Wow. That's commitment.
He's like, fooled you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there you go.
Burn the boats. Now let's build some houses. With what? Oh, damn. Those boats were made of wood.
We'll make the native people do it. And we'll kill them.
With disease, by accident.
Scurvy. Arr.
Well, no, they cured them of scurvy. Didn't they? Once they gave them a kiwi or two?
Yeah. Maybe you're right.
Alright, so yeah, that's it. Lor San Tekka, he's the guy. He was the bus driver. I also had this theory that we're going to see like Ben Solo, Luke Skywalker, and Lor San Tekka palling around the galaxy at some point. Whether in a book or a novel. Or a comic book, I mean. But anyway, Ads, thank you, sir. Appreciate it as always. I can't wait to get the answers to these questions, as I'm sure everybody else can't wait either.
And let us know again. Let us know, Ads, if you want to hear us talk about it on the Sith Disturbers, because I still think there's room for some humor there.
Anyway, if you're not following Ads, please do so. It's Ads Hillier, ADSHILLIER. Do yourself a favor. And from there, we're going to jump to a question from Katie. Katie Stubbs has recently joined the Star Wars Commonwealth community. She's like fairly new, but she is just fit in like the rest of us dirty shirts. So, hi Katie. Hope you're doing well as you're listening to this.
You're welcome for the complimentary metaphor. You're now one of the dirty shirts.
All right, so follow Katie on Twitter. She's a wonderful follow if you're a Star Wars fan. Katie, KATIEEE 120 on Twitter.
She's changed her tag name to KTSO. Get it? KTSO.
I see what you did there.
Yeah, nice. I didn't do it.
Well played.
Yeah.
Well played.
I noticed that today.
So a couple weeks ago, Katie asked us this question on Twitter, and I had to park it until now because, of course, last week we went like 3 hours and we were just busting at the gills. So here we go with Katie's question. How would you feel about a clone-centric movie? Corey, I'm gonna let you run with this first.
Again, I just want to say thank you again for joining the community and being such a supportive member of it. Like I've seen you, just all over the place listening to the pods, and your feedback couldn't be more than welcome. And your question it's a good one. I have some notes taken down here. I would feel great about it, to be honest. I don't think I necessarily want it anytime soon. Just in the sense that, they have so much other stuff to flesh out at the moment. And
I was just going to say, it's not that you don't want it soon. It's just you want Obi-Wan and et cetera first.
Yeah, exactly. And to be honest, like I'm still, again, I've seen the better, like I'll say I've seen 70% of the Clone Wars, but now I'm going through it episode by episode, and there are so many good arcs. There's like at least 2 or 3 or 4 that I've seen so far that are specifically based on clone troopers and different storylines of how they can interact and the war in general, these different battalions. So in a way, it's already been flushed out before, but I think it would still be cool on screen. Everyone loves a good war movie. And, fans like yourself, Katie, I think our buddies over at the Skyhoppers, like they've grown up with this generation of Star Wars, this new generation, like the Clone Wars and stuff. So why don't you guys go through what we did and wait 10, 15, 20 years till you're really itching to get it, and everybody wants, like, you're just at a boiling point for it again. And if it's not sustained after that 20-year marker, maybe it was never meant to be, but a 20-year maybe a stretch. Let's say 15, 20 years, something like that. But, it's definitely not something that would be on the 4. It's not something that I wouldn't not watch. Like, obviously I would watch it and I'd probably enjoy it, but I just think they have so many other things they can tackle right now, and if anything, it's more suited for TV. But again, they've kind of already done it. But the storylines they did flesh out in the Clone Wars were amazing, so it would still make a really cool movie.
James, anything you want to tack on to that?
I would like clone centric if I can loophole it and make it like about Jedi. Their tales about, like, I don't know, flashbacks, if it's depending on what the time frame is in the movie. But like if they could tell us, like, you know, make the movie somehow about like little tiny, like 4, 5, 6 different mini stories of like how the Jedi whatever affected the clones in general, like, and there was a Jedi twist to it somehow, I'd be all over that.
Yeah, it's called the Clone Wars.
Yeah, well, but she wants live action, right? So
that's it. In the long run, I really do see it fitting, just the genre fitting better with TV. But a Clone War movie would be really cool. But again, it's kind of been done.
Well, yeah, I mean, you've mentioned a bunch of clone-centric arcs in the Clone Wars show, which is totally accurate. So they've done a lot of that. So they would have to have a new hook. There'd have to be a really neat and important storyline presented in order for them to actually go through with this. Like, the audience would have to care beyond it being a new Star Wars movie.
Yeah, like the clones who didn't succumb to Order 66, like Rex, Wolf, and Gregor. That'd be kind of cool to kind of get their story. But again, there's so many more meatier things that need to be fleshed out that I don't see that getting the 4 of a live action movie.
What about Siege of Mandalore live action?
That would be pretty cool.
That would be boss, man. I would be all over that.
If Filoni doesn't get a chance to do an Ahsoka movie, let's say he gets to finish the Clone Wars live action.
Yeah, and that's part of it. Siege of Mandalore is part of that. I would love to see clones on screen with Ahsoka leading them.
Yeah, that would be cool.
You would get another taste of Darth Maul, which I think fans would want. Not me. I'm kind of finished with Darth Maul, but I would pay good money to see that brought to live action. But I think it would. You know, I could also envision like an HBO series, like Band of Brothers style. It would have to be something like that.
Exactly. Like, they're all brothers. Like, you get that picture like really soon within the Clone Wars.
And you'd have to give some consideration to when you see this movie. Like, we just got the War movie 3-4 months ago, so this wouldn't happen anytime soon. Like, I think this would be in tone, too close to Rogue One. So this would wait, I would think. And it would also be a ton of work for one actor. Depending on how many clones are part of this movie, it's the same guy, right? I don't know if they would bring Tamara Morrison back to be the clone again. But geez, that would be one busy actor. Yeah, so I think, like James said, if you can fold in some Jedi hooks to it, I'd be all for it. Just be careful with the timing. And Katie, don't listen to Corey when he says since we had to do it, you have to wait 15 years as well. That's BS.
No, yeah, I didn't say you have to. I suggest it. It'll make you burn for it more. It'll make you yearn for it. And like I said, there's a lot of other stuff to flesh out prior. Like,
look, just because you have these weird burns, the soap isn't taken care of.
I think what he's saying, Kyle, is absence makes the heart grow fungus.
Wow. Wow.
Look, Corey, we're not judging. Like, it was a tough break.
I have no idea what you're talking about, but
I mean, you should have known better. But it happens to people, and it's nothing to be ashamed about. But next time you go to get your prescription filled, just ask for the level up.
You're a funny guy.
Haha, we make jokes about you.
You're so funny.
And it's not even Sith Disturbers. Wow.
Yeah.
All right, that'll do for the questions this week. Last thing quickly before we call it a show. So the site called In a Galaxy Far, Far Away, I believe that's what it's called anyway, they had this cool feature. So they had dug up a news piece from a magazine called Preview. I think it was a UK publication way back when. And in it, they threw out the idea. Well, they actually had an interview with Richard Marquand, who directed Jedi, and they discussed the idea of future trilogies and a shadowy puppet master behind the scenes of it all. And so this all leads to, is Snoke a George Lucas idea after all? And anyway, we don't have to get into the whole details of is he or isn't he. It's still conjecture, although it seems very clear that Snoke is inspired by Lucas's treatments for 7, 8, and 9. But the question I have for you guys is, after all the years of watching Palpatine's plan come to fruition, wouldn't it cheapen that character if they had another character on top of him that was smarter and more powerful? Like, does that undercut Palpatine at all in your guys' eyes?
Yeah, a little. They got to be careful with that kind of stuff. It's the same way I worry about super powerful Force users making Yoda look like he didn't know what he was talking about. Like, I worry about them. They got to be careful. They have to tread lightly around well-established, well-loved characters whose arcs are complete now, and they don't want to undo their legacies. So yes, that's my long yes.
Corey?
Ask me the question again.
Where were you?
I'm here, man, but I'm really I'm not feeling too hot. I would like some consideration for that, please. I'm here. Like, I shouldn't be here technically. Like, I honestly should be in my bed, but
So I have to say, when I saw your message come in, like, if I send a message like that to Kyle, he's like, dude, you're not feeling well, just take the night off. We'll do it without you. But Corey sends the message to Kyle, and he's like, yeah, you know what? Then you might want to take a nap before the show. Don't drink too many beers. See you at 9.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, it's beautiful, isn't it?
Brothers. I would be the same with my brother.
So, Corey, the question was, Snoke being inspired by Lucas's treatments of 7, 8, and 9, so probably not a direct copy of, but is there a danger in cheapening Palpatine and all that he achieved and all that he was if you have this other character who's actually smarter than him and more clairvoyant than him and possibly more powerful? Are you running the risk of undercutting the chief villain of 6 prior movies?
Well, I think it kind of touches back on what we just discussed earlier in regards to Rebels being on Scarif, right? Kind of similar there, but again, it all depends how they write it. So, maybe Palpatine's on board with Snoke's theory. Like, who knows? Who knows how they're going to write this, but I do like the fact that they're paying somewhat of an homage to George Lucas. Like, I really do like that, and it kind of does creep me out in the sense, too, that he's saying he was like this supreme wise leader, like, I don't want to think that this guy, this creepo has it right. Like, but, that's what George was kind of saying, is that this guy has been playing everybody from the beginning. If Palpatine was not somewhat involved with Snoke, then yes, it could possibly cheapen his character, pending on how Snoke is written. Because we're all on board. Like, I know you're big up on this, Kyle, and most of the fandom should be. Like, so many people take Palpatine's ride to the top for granted. Like, this guy played everybody, then everybody against them, each other, until they were all said and done, and he rose to the top. Like that's genius. I get that, but hopefully it's part of a master plan. If not, then hopefully they really write this Snoke character to the point where it's believable, at least, that he was able to ride Palpatine's coattails and just predict all this and be where he is right now.
Uh, yeah, I guess another way to look at it is you can give them completely different motivations and end goals. Like Palpatine, and this is the thing, we're still learning about Palpatine's motivations. Like in the Tarkin novel that came out a couple years ago, we learned that Palpatine wasn't just satisfied to be Emperor and Sith Lord. He wanted the power to bend and shape reality as he saw fit. Like some really wacky stuff that I never would have expected. Like I thought Palpatine had won. Like he got what he wanted. He was the supreme ruler of the galaxy. I thought there was no more to aspire to, but apparently not. There was more. So maybe you can have Snoke be as smart or powerful, but give him a different motivation. Maybe he's not concerned with galactic domination. Maybe there's something else that he wants.
Well,
So if you have them playing in different sandboxes, maybe you don't have them step on each other's toes.
That's the thing, Luke's in search of this truth. We believe, I think we've talked about it many times. Why is he at this first temple? Like, why is he out there? Like, it's very possible that, Snoke looks like a pretty old guy. Like, I think Snoke can possibly hold more pieces of the puzzle than we all know, and him kind of unveiling them to people like Kylo have obviously altered their reality and their view of reality, and who knows what may do to Rey if he gets his hands on her, like this. Like he just starts showing her stuff and telling her stuff, and she's kind of just gets so confused, doesn't know what to think anymore, right?
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, they do have to be careful though. That's the way I see this. I don't want them to make Palpatine look like an idiot. To me, Palpatine, what he did, Corey, you talked about it, all the things he did in the background to make his rise to power come to fruition. I don't want to find out that Snoke was watching him the whole time going, hee, I'm gonna totally screw this guy. Or I'm gonna wait till this guy screws himself and then swoop in and take over.
Or was even like a puppet master controlling him, like.
Actually, you know what? If he was just watching Palpatine do this, and he was like, okay, I mean, this is I'm thousands of years old. He'll eventually be out of the picture, and then I can swoop in. That's one thing. But yeah, like you just said, if he's pulling Palpatine's strings, I don't think that would be cool. And I don't think they'll do that. I think the powers that be over there at the Lucasfilm storytelling group, the film writers, all those people, I think they're very, very protective of what Lucas has done, and I don't think there's any appetite to undo what he's done.
But if Snoke is this supreme being, then maybe he's more powerful. Like from what the synopsis of what we in the article anyhow, when George talked about in episode 9, this supreme being was almost like an all-knowing entity in a way.
Yeah, you're right. It was almost like Lucas was doing that at the time, right?
Yeah.
Like it almost seemed like Lucas was prepared to make Palpatine look stupid. But I don't know. I don't think you can do that now. Like Palpatine is just so good as a villain.
And there's so many things that happen within that set of movies, so many circumstances, so many variables that it wouldn't make sense. Okay, maybe you could say in the long run, okay, heads or tails, but you choose a side. But there's so many things that happen within that it would really take away again from Palpatine. But
well, and I mean, create more than one bad guy who's super smart, and fans accept that. We have that going in other nerdiverses.
Yeah, and even on the good side, like how many geniuses are there in Marvel?
There's a lot of geniuses. Everybody's a genius.
Bruce Banner, Peter Parker, Reed Richards, Tony Stark,
and David Banner.
Was he genius? I guess so.
You think Bruce Wayne is a genius?
Yes.
Yeah, he's wicked smart.
So anyway, all to say that you can have him be wicked smart and people will accept it. He's just this movie's wicked smart guy who's bad.
again, it all depends how they write it, how they set it up, and who this guy ends up being.
Yeah, he needs different flaws. Like, Palpatine was arrogant. And Snoke so far doesn't come across like he's gonna be arrogant. Well, I mean, who knows? We'll see. But his flaw has to be something else. If he's some super evil genius, you know.
Decadence.
Yeah, it seems like his vanity from different spoiler reports. Maybe his vanity is his flaw.
There you go.
It's kind of weird. Like, I don't think that guy really has too much to be thankful for in that department. You know, maybe he's got his selfies set up to take pictures of his slippers and whatnot. But his face isn't that beautiful of a sight.
No.
Nope.
I mean, I can't imagine he scores very highly on Tinder.
But still, again, you like you said, like he's probably been around forever, and there's a reason for that too. You know, he values life and living it and control. But all in all, I really do appreciate the fact that I hope they do kind of borrow a bit from George. Like I said this probably 10, 15 episodes ago that I bought this 8 comics. It's called The Star Wars, and it's the original synopsis for Star Wars, where like it's like really like almost 100% different than what we actually got on screen. And I hope some way, shape, or form that we get that moving forward, like a comic or something, even just a novel or like Macquarie art kind of showing what George had in store for 7, 8, and 9 and how it contrasts to what we actually got. I don't know if we'll necessarily ever get that because of Disney, but
what? You did it!
No, I didn't.
You did it!
Who controls Lucasfilm? Disney.
This is exactly the argument. Okay, so, Corey's been dinged.
No,
I'm writing down
no,
$2.
No, Lucasfilm could say, "Hey, Disney, we think it's a good idea that George's story but it would be more Disney in the long run. Because it's got to go comic or something like that. They'd be like, but either way, I want to see Lucas's vision of 7, 8, and 9 in some kind of medium.
That's a good point, Corey. Are you writing that down, Kyle, or am I?
That Corey owes $2?
That's correct.
I disagree with you. I'm going to get ads in on this one, and I think ads going to have my back because I'm right, and you're both wrong.
No, you suggested that Disney is going to decide whether or not Lucasfilm publishes a comic or a book.
Does Lucasfilm, who publishes the books? Is it Lucasfilm?
Is it Lucasfilm Press? I don't know.
Exactly. So how can you be fining me for something you don't even know?
You're fined. Take it up with the judge.
I will. Ads, get my back, boy.
No, he didn't make it through one episode without hinting that Disney is actually controlling it.
The episode's not over.
I think
you almost got. You almost got there, Corey.
I honestly do think that Disney is controlling that fact that George had a very different vision of what it should have been, and for them to unveil it, it's not Lucasfilm's decision. Like I don't
know about that.
It's Disney's choice to hold that card. Because for them, it's their franchise, right? If they're like, if you get the comic and you're like, hey, I kind of like this better, you know what I mean? Like they won't necessarily want to take that chance, which is why I sometimes kind of think that I don't think we'll ever really fully know what George had planned. But again, I'd like to see it.
Yeah, no, I don't think we'll see it either. And I don't think it takes Disney to make that call.
Let's start a new stipulation. We're gonna have to make a contract here. I think if you guys wrongly accuse someone of about the Disney thing, that you should double up on your penalties.
Nope.
And as the tie-breaking vote, I agree with James. That's just the way that goes.
I love when older brothers are wrong.
It's amazing. The piggy bank is already going to get fed. Awesome.
We have to agree?
No, that's the beauty of the court's ruling is sort of binding. You're stuck.
My hands are in ads. Like I'm confident that ads will put you guys in your place and fine you both.
Oh boy, this is gonna be fun. Okay, well that's it, guys. Anything else we want to talk about before we put a pin in the show?
That was a good one, man.
I'm not sure about that.
Let's talk about how this show is not 3 hours long. We got to think about 90 more minutes of stuff to talk about.
Oh God. Well, Corey, just so you know that if you're ever really sick and you want to take a night off, you can do that. You know, you have sick days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I need the money.
All right. so you can put it in the piggy bank,
Also-
the kangaroo court piggy
No,
bank.
so I can buy more Star Wars toys.
That was said with a lot of anger.
Yeah, I need them, man.
Jesus.
I need them bad.
Yeah, you bought a Power of the Force 2 figures this weekend. That's weird, man.
Yeah, I don't know. I just I love them. The price was right, bro. They were 2 for $15. He sold them. So I got a Tarkin and an Akbar. They're like complete antithesis. I love it. Then I got a nice Leia and R2 package. I think that's a score, bro, in my head.
In your head. Yep.
Come on. Leia R2. How can you go wrong with that? In the box, like, come on.
Can't go wrong with that, Corey. But the question is, who knows about it?
Who knows about it? I know.
Unfortunately, I have to vouch. I was there when he bought it.
No, but I meant more. Did he tell his lady?
Yeah, I showed her everything. Hey, dude, you get a kick into this. You know what I bought this weekend, James? Just quickly at the convention. I couldn't believe it. I heard the guy talking about it to someone else, and I guess I was kind of eavesdropping, whatever. But he had a
magic beans. Magic beans.
Close enough. It's close. He had 4 wax boxes of 1989's Topps New Kids on the Block cards in the pack, and he was selling them for 50 cents each. So that kind of got me out of the doghouse. I bought $2 worth of those, and when I got home, I was like, "Hey, babe, I got you something, you know, some New Kids trading cards." So that made her. She was super sick when I got home, so it made her smile, which made me happy.
Yeah, those are good brownie points there. Every girl from that generation was in love with one of the New Kids at least.
Dude, 50 cents a pack, though. How can you not?
No, you win.
I like
how a week later you've thought of a story that covers why you bought those trading cards for yourself.
Whatever. I love them.
Does she know that they were 50 cents a pack?
Has she even seen them, or are they just in your room?
Well, here's the real question. At what cost would you have said, nah, I'm not going to buy these for?
$2.
Ooh.
Yeah, $2 a pack.
$2.
I passed up. You know what? They had Batman cards from 1989, the original movie. I was going to buy them. The guy was like, $2. I was like, I just spent 50 cents on New Kids cards. No way. But these guys are all negotiable. I bought a Darth Maul, Phantom Menace Darth Maul yesterday. The guy was asking $25. It's my last purchase of the day, and I go to the guy, and I'm like, yeah. I'm like, I don't have $25. He's like, yeah, it's not mine. He's like, it's this guy's over here. He's like, what do you got? I'm like, I don't know. I got like $18 left. He grabs it. He's like, hey, Mike, $10? The guy's like, yeah, take it. I was like, great. Buy some coffees on the way home.
Plural?
That's true. I was by myself, but whatever. You know what I mean? You tool. Saved $8. Okay. No, I saved. He wanted 20. I saved $15.
No, actually, you spent 10.
And it was well worth it.
I love your guerrilla math.
Guys, thanks, man. Corey, James, it's been a pleasure once again.
Thank
Always.
you.
And Corey, get some rest, man.
Yep.
You sound terrible.
I do.
Yeah,
I
you
feel
should have
terrible.
really taken the show off like we told you.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to edit you out of this whole show.
I'm a trooper. I don't. It's the way I work. What I won't do for the fans and for you
What
guys.
you won't do.
I know what you will do. Fill up that kangaroo court piggy bank.
Disney.
All right, everybody. Thank you for listening to episode 72 of the podcast. If you want to reach out to us, you can do so on Twitter. Corey, where are you at?
Chop rules with a Z.
Said with some gusto. And James?
Tommy Bombadil won.
With a Z?
Wah, wah, wah.
I would say Zed.
Zed's dead.
Beautiful. I knew that was coming.
Yeah, I can't stop.
Can't stop or won't stop?
Can't stop. Won't stop.
And now he's getting delirious. I'm at Tumbling Saber on the Twitter, on the Instagrams, and the Facebook. Come check us out. And hey, don't forget about our friends over at the Star Wars Commonwealth. Go to StarWarsCommonwealth.com. Visit, check up on Talk Star Wars, Generation X-Wing, the Rogue Squadron podcast, the Skyhoppers, and the Nerd Room. Everybody doing some great work these days. And if you want, it'd be really nice to have you head on over to iTunes or Stitcher. Leave us a little quick review and help us climb those charts and get more eyeballs on our little show here. And other than that, Journals of the Willing is back this week, and Stephen and I will be back to break down some more Star Wars literature. And until then, hope you guys have a good start to your week, and we'll catch you again later this week. Bye for now.
Sweet.
Self-redeeming qualities, have they hindered me? Hindering, was I blind to see that you needed me, all of me? Well, you were there for me. I will be there too, watching, listening, every moment, wanting all of you. And I believe I can save you, just don't let me go. And I can see I'll be waiting, always waiting, just don't let me go. Just don't let me go. Time goes on and I'm questioning all the things I've seen, crazy things I've seen as I'm watching you walking away from